Greetings. So this chapter, there's several paragraphs where they describe in detail what General Moreno's property used to look like. So, and for me, I'm more into the story, um, the history, the romance part. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to start with a summary of chapter 2. Then I will um, switch over and share the short story that I created based on Helen Hunt Jackson and what inspired her to write the book Ramona. So let's get started. Chapter 2. General Moreno's rancho was on land that had a 40-mile radius between the San Fernando Mountains and the coast. The United States Land Commission was not satisfied with the answer they were given regarding the boundaries of the property. As a result, they took away tract after tract of land from Senora Moreno. Claims of deeds of gifts from Governor Pio Fico was disallowed, so they didn't even look at that. They took away the greater part of the best pasture lands. When they were young, she rode on horseback by her husband's side. Now she sees the American thieves as hounds. Their taking possession of California was not just a conquering of Mexico, but it was also a conquering of California. The real bitterness was the country itself, which was given up. Mexicans were helpless, humiliated in defeat, and weren't compensated for all that land loss. California lost everything. Mexicans were forced to, and she was one of the Mexicans who were forced to stay behind. So, Senora Moreno retained the title to the mansion. The commissioners later wrote at the backside of her house. She enjoyed the fact that people were passing by, cannot see the front of the house. It was her house turned its back on them. Again, next few chapters describe the mansion. I won't go into detail here, but if you want to read what this house used to look like, you can read chapter 2 of this book. General Moreno was loved by the army, her husband, and the church. As a soldier, he was zealous and enthusiastic. He had the good fortune to be of material assistance to both. Senora was the daughter of a distinguished officer and a niece of the Santa Barbara Superior. Their marriage linked him to both powers and the interests of the country. When the winning party reached San Luis Obispo, the Indians turned to meet them at Monterey, indigenous being the indigenous Californians. At Monterey, ships from Spain, Mexico, and Russia met them. At that time, Senora had a joyous smile, laughing eye, merry voice, a thoughtful look, tender, gentle, and enthusiastic. She became more proudly and passionately a Spaniard and a Mexican. After the Secularization Act, she journeyed alone to Monterey to stir up more energetic action, implore the government to interfere, to protect the church property. Unfortunately, this cost Miche Torrena his head, and General Moreno, her husband, was severely wounded in one of the insurrections. Senora, silent and humiliated, nursed her husband back to health and stopped meddling in her unhappy country and church. As the years went by, she saw the missions turn to ruin, the vast properties disappearing, the church losing the power, and the Franciscan fathers were forced out of the countryside or died of starvation. If her son was an adult at this time, then he would have fought alongside the army. She could not believe that her country, which won the independence from Spain, ended up being beaten by the United States. Her husband died in combat. She slowly turned into a silent, reserved, stern, implacable woman. She's now white-haired, aged, silent, unsmiling, placid-faced, who maneuvered between her son and her head shepherd. She would have liked to see the Indians confess their sins in the Moreno Chapel. So let me stop recording here and then I will share with you the short story that I wrote. So once upon a time, in the high and rugged mountain range of the southern half of California, there was a band of indigenous California quail. Although most were binary, there were some that were two spirits. They were not only treated with respect, they also held very important roles in their flock. Life was good back then, living off the land, eating acorns and fish. Centuries later, golden eagles from another world took over. They enslaved these indigenous quail, forced those who were two spirits to stop being who they are. Instead, they were forced to kneel to the newcomers and adopt their religion. A few decades later, the American bald eagle took over the land, forced thousands of indigenous quail off their land. Along came a black-capped chickadee who became their ally. After she learned about the injustices that were done, she used a feather from a wing and an ink sac from the ocean to write a book about what she had seen. Today, there are cities, highways, libraries, schools, and a reservation named after her. The end. So questions, comments, constructive criticisms, asking for clarification, let me know. And I shall see you next time, hopefully with a longer chapter summary. Take care.